In the plethora of gaming sites and YouTube channels making their recommendations for what games you should buy this year, I only wanted to make one gaming recommendation. And to do that, I came back to the school where my addiction, passion, love for the hobby began. It was in the outside hours school care when I worked the morning shifts before kids went to school and the afternoon shifts when the kids left school. And they were getting into this cartoon called Yu-Gi-Oh! It had cards associated with it. I had no idea what it was. I hadn't seen anything like it. So I decided to get a deck because I thought, well, this is going to be popular over the holidays. I might as well play along with the kids and maybe help run some games or some activities with them. Turns out a couple of friends at church found out that I was doing that and decided to do the same. But we didn't really know where to play. Like, we didn't know what we could do or who we could play with. So I looked around online and found this place, my local gaming shop. I didn't even know there was such a thing existed as a local gaming shop. How crazy is that? On top of that, I started to fall into the world of competitive card games. I travelled all around Australia, I competed in national tournaments, I built teams, I built decks, but the best part really was all the friends we made. Ricky was there from my time at Yu-Gi-Oh! And we sort of became friends after that. It was good.
Yeah, good times, deck testing.
Many weekends of deck testing.
Yeah, which was great. That was the beginning pretty much of the social meeting. We went from just being competitors to friends.
Absolutely. I think the nice part was that you were also there when I transitioned to board games.
Yes.
We started producing content together.
Yeah.
One of the first people I worked with on that. And then you kind of got taken overseas.
Well, Japan.
That's overseas. Yeah, that just made it a little bit harder to produce content together. So I kind of went out on my own, did my own thing, and just kept producing lots of stuff as much as I could, really. It was hard. But the worst part, I think, wasn't the producing of new content. It was the need to buy more games. I had to feel like I was on top of it, like I was reviewing more, like I was getting more done. And when I didn't have all of the new stuff, I kind of started to feel irrelevant. So I had this great collection, but I didn't have time to play it in between all the content creating and the work commitments I had. And on top of that, with changing family circumstances, I really couldn't afford to keep up with the hobby anyway. It was becoming quite an issue for me, and as a content creator, I began to feel somewhat detached. And I began to feel somewhat alone. And then I realized that my hobby should be about connecting me with my passion instead of driving me away from it. And I was challenged recently by a guy on Twitter, the Board Game Minimalist, who said this: I wasn't really aware that board game collections could get much larger than 5 to 10 games, so it was normal for me to have a small collection. It's healthy not to take board games too seriously. They're designed for pleasure and entertainment, so if it ever becomes mentally or financially stressful to purchase games, then that's probably a point to step back and reconsider why we got into board gaming in the first place. Which I agreed with. And he also said this: it's got to be the human interaction. Board games give you the pleasure of sitting at a table with other people, challenging each other and socializing, as well as losing yourself in the narrative and theme of a tactical gaming experience. Which I agree with. And as someone who creates content but has only actually bought 2 new games this year, I have to say there's something about that resonates with me, because I realized, creating content or being a hobby gamer should be about connecting me with my passion. And for me, it's really about connecting with people and helping people to connect.
Hey man, are we doing this?
Yeah man, let's go. So my Christmas recommendation this year isn't any particular game. It's to grab any game from your shelf and to play it with friends. Because ultimately, it's not the game that you play that matters most. It's who you play it with.